All right, good evening, everybody. This is your Facebook meteorologist, Sean Bagden, back yet again with the Storm Front Specialist here, and a particularly dangerous situation. Severe thunderstorm watch has been issued for the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, as well as the Abilene area here, and then also back into the Arklatex region toward Tyler, Texas, and the northern Piney Woods there. For wind gusts in excess of 100 miles an hour, with a squall line that is now developed since we were off live for a little bit there. But we're going to break down the radar, as there are a couple of interesting features we are looking at right now. As the Storm Prediction Center says, derecho has started to develop now. This is what we're looking at right here. Actually, you're probably not looking at the radar. Let me get you over to that right now here. And then we'll show you the interesting feature we're looking at that's making us think we're starting to get a derecho type of event developing here across the Red River area. So this is what we're looking at. This is just to the northeast of Abilene. Abilene's right back here off the left corner of the screen. This kind of pseudo area of low pressure that looks like it started to develop up here is likely going to start bowing out this line and kicking in a rear inflow jet here. What that means is these storms are going to get organized very quickly, especially if they're able to get back out in front of this outflow boundary we're seeing right here. This is the only caveat to this derecho-like event. We're likely, if this does not outrun the outflow boundary here, we're going to have some problems getting these winds down to the surface here. But it does look like this area of low pressure is helping to kick out this line. So starting a bow echo here, we'll likely start to see this invert into a backward C shape. And with that, an accelerated storm motion, so that we can get these storms building yet again back on top of this outflow boundary right here, which will help maintain these storms for a longer duration. And they'll also start to help getting the stronger winds down to the surface that we're seeing here on radar, just ripping to the southeast right now. We have a couple values here. We're looking at about 70 knots just above the surface. This is just about 2,000 feet off the surface here. And here we go, another 70 knot reading there. Yeah, about 70 knots we're seeing. So what this means is once we're able to get these storms to build back, or if we're able to get them to build back right on top of that outflow boundary, especially with all the moisture loading taking place within the column with these storms here, and the presence of that rear inflow jet, if it does develop, as it does appear like it is, we are likely going to be seeing at least 70 knot winds at the surface, which is above hurricane force there. We'll probably be seeing them about 20% higher than that, as the rule of thumb goes in a moisture loading environment. So what would that be? We'd be looking at about 96 mile an hour wind gusts making it down to the surface with this line once it's able to reach back out in front of this outflow boundary here, if it is able to do so. So a very dangerous situation here starting to develop, especially with the presence of this pseudo area of low pressure developing with this very strong line of thunderstorms right here. Already seeing particularly dangerous situations, severe thunderstorm warnings, destructive severe thunderstorm warnings getting put in place here off to the north and east of the Abilene area. The places that we are very concerned about, Breckenridge area, they're about to get hit with these 80 mile an hour winds. And then as you go a little bit further east, these storms are going to be jogging a little bit more to the east here. We're going to be looking at Palo Pinto, Mineral Wells, Millsap, maybe even Gordon, Strawn, Ranger. They're all under the gun here for these 80 to 100 mile an hour wind gusts that are ongoing with this line right here. And we might even see some gusts upwards of 120 miles an hour if this thing can really start kicking around here. And on top of this outflow boundary. So severe storms here. Already seeing reports of upwards of 85 mile an hour wind gusts being reported here out by Stamford, Texas with this line. And that was before actually 86 miles an hour. And that was before we started to get this feature developing here on the northern end of the line. If we can start seeing some anticyclonic rotation happening on the back end of the line, that is going to be very nerve-wracking here, especially if that ends up getting into the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area here, because then that's when you're talking about the maximized potential of this line of storms right here. That's likely when you would start seeing those 100+ mile an hour wind gusts occurring with this line as it makes its way off to the east-southeast right now. So we'll closely be watching for any anticyclonic rotation that does develop on the southern end of the line, because what happens there is if you have anticyclonic rotation down here and cyclonic rotation up on the northern end, all of that gets pushed right down the middle and kind of funneled behind the line there, which is kind of like with the Iowa derecho, what we saw, get that funneling happening right behind the line. That's your rear inflow jet, and all that wind gets forced to the front and down to the surface. And that's when you start talking about these significant wind gusts occurring here. Also looking at the potential of possibly a tornadic signature developing here just off to the north and east of the Breckenridge, Texas area right now. Very weak signature, but with these sorts of events, brief, weak spin-up tornadoes are certainly possible out on the leading edge of these thunderstorms, and also starting to get like a kind of a supercellular appendage starting to form within the line here, a little dog leg starting to form. So very interesting radar signature starting to form here. Just off to the north and east of the Abilene area right now. This is making its way at least to the southern end of the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex here. We also do have a plethora of severe warnings with another bow echo that this one will likely merge with here off to the north of the DFW metroplex right now. We're going to head on over to the Dallas radar. And we're going to break this down for you as things are about to get interesting, especially in the northern suburbs of the DFW right now. Going to wait for this to come up here. We can look at some wind reports that have been reported so far with this northern section. Looks like just 65 to 60 miles an hour, as this is kind of the southern appendages of the storm, that's for sure. But up here into southwestern or southeastern Oklahoma, rather, that is where the strongest winds with this northern squall line are expected to be here. Does also look like emergency manager reported in Mansville, Oklahoma, power line down on 17th and Earl Street via radar estimated time here. Let's try to get to a better radar because it's not showing it too well what we're wanting to see here. We'll see which one's best. Not the best radar coverage where this line's kind of tracking through here. It's in between all of them. But we do have this severe thunderstorm warning out just to the east and southeast of the Oklahoma City metro as well that we'll have to look at. And also a precipitation discussion in place here. Looks like probably for potential flash flood warning due to the training of thunderstorms that's been occurring here. There we go. And we're not really seeing, and you're not really seeing that rotation up on the northern end of the line here. So of the two right now, given what we're seeing on radar, I'm not really seeing anything that's screaming a significant event right here. Let's see what these warnings are showing that just popped up. I can't imagine they're too extreme. 70-mile-an-hour wind gust, nickel-size hail. Yeah. So definitely, as of right now, looking like this southern line of storms is going to be the one to watch. Definitely pretty significant weather making its way toward the Dallas area right now. And also a confirmed tornado on the ground as well, with that pink tornado warning that is showing up on the leading edge of that line. Looks like a supercell that got absorbed within the line here. Looks like it dropped for a couple of scans and then has since lifted. And then another couple of couplets are also showing up down the line here, especially right here by the Kemp area. Looks like that's going to be one of the stronger of the three right now. Yeah, it's definitely been showing potential for increasing its rotation. It is pretty broad right now, but if it does intensify, these things can intensify pretty quickly, especially along these Boeing line segments here. So would not be out of the question to see a quick spin up tornado near the Kemp area, and then as it moves over the Red River, say Dodge City, Benham area, could be next in line for this potentially tornadic segment of this line feature here. Also looking at this couplet here, weak, very broad couplet down by the Howe, Texas area. And this is going to be moving off due east right now towards the White area, Randolph, possibly Trenton also getting involved on this potential tornado right now, as a tornado warning is in effect in those areas. But let's go back to what's most interesting right now. Those will be the quick spin up tornadoes, but I would not be surprised to see stronger winds, just straight line winds within this line that's coming from the Abilene area over into the Dallas area right now, as that is looking very concerning at this point in time, especially if we start getting that anticyclonic rotation down toward the Albany area there and toward the radar base. But yes, we are going to be closely watching this as we go through the next couple of hours, and until it interacts with the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We'll be live until that happens, likely going to be happening within the next hour or two here. We're getting close. So we're going to have to closely watch this here. Again, now that instability is a little bit more elevated, storms are clustering together, the hail threat has diminished from the 5 inches we were expecting a little bit earlier there. But we're still expecting to see at least 1 to 2 inch diameter hail of these storms. But the hailstones at this point are not the main concern. The main concern is definitely going to be these straight line wind gusts that are going to be occurring, especially near the apex of this line once the apex does form here. Going to be a very interesting evening. Definitely one of those evenings you're going to want to keep in the dial, just in case you do get those quick spin up tornadoes along the front end of the line here. You can really start seeing this appendage starting to develop, a little embedded supercellular feature starting to develop here just to the south of Ivan, or Yvonne, however you say that down in Texas there. but you can see this broad area of rotation starting to develop here. It looks like right now just kind of an updraft at this point. But once you start getting those inflow winds really kicking into this and it gets out in front of that outflow boundary, we really could be seeing a good spin up along this little dog leg that started to form right here. So very interesting radar signatures coming out of this squall line that is just past to the north and east of the Abilene radar, KDYX here. So this will be the main threat that we're watching. We also do have a couple of elevated storms back here behind the line. Not too worried about these at this point, just given the fact that they're more in the elevated, overturned air mass behind these more significant storms. So I would expect these to kind of fizzle out and become a little bit more stratiform, like moderate rain, once they start interacting with the overturned air behind this massive squall line that started to develop here. And we are about to get Dallas in on the severe thunderstorm warnings now as well. Things are about to get quite interesting in the Dallas area. Denton right now is under the gun for, I believe it's 70-mile-an-hour winds right now. Let's pull that up here. Doesn't look too impressive on radar, this northern section, I'll tell you that much. But it's showing a destructive storm. I'm not really seeing that, but 80-mile-an-hour winds expected out of this. Maybe it's because we're just on the wrong radar here. Let's go to one of the high-resolution, like, military radars here. DFW. I don't know. I'm just not seeing anything too incredible because this outflow boundary has really outrun the line here just because of its slow southward motion it has here. Let's go back to the KFWS here and see if we can get a better read on it. But I'm not overly enthused about this northern section because it is moving extremely slow to the south here. I'm more interested in it for a flash flood potential, just because the way it's been outrunning that outflow boundary there. But there definitely could be some severe gusts with this convection here, but a lot of that's going to remain elevated just due to the fact that the outflow boundary has outrun this line of storms here. So these will likely stall out and not have too much motion to them, I'd imagine, and likely to just graze the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That is not the same for these storms back here towards Breckenridge and Mineral Wells. These are going to make it, of course, Dallas after that, as these continue to punch east at about 50 miles an hour here, with wind gusts expected to be around 80. I would assume once we start getting that rear inflow jet kicking in, we'll be at least 100 miles an hour on these warnings here. Let's just update our storm direction right now just to make sure we have the most updated radar imagery. In terms of velocity, 313.40. Just updating it to the warning wind speed or direction and forward motion. So there we go. We're going to go right on back to the Abilene radar here because this is where things are really looking interesting right now, and destructive across the area. We do have the severe thunderstorm warnings down here. This is likely just due to the outflow gusts that are expected as this boundary passes through. Not seeing too much coming to your area. I would still definitely make sure you're inside for this as this outflow boundary comes through, or inside, make sure you're inside for it. That's what I meant to say. Just due to the fact that upwards of 70, 80 mile an hour winds could accompany this outflow boundary briefly as it does move through. It's certainly nothing you want to be caught outside in, and it's not visible on most lower resolution radars, I'd imagine, such as, say, a weather channel radar or weather bug radar, whatever you're looking at on an app there, unless it's like a radar. The big burns, these outflow boundaries still do pack a pretty significant punch here. So just wait this out as it moves through your area. It's going through Cisco right now, about to go past Eastland. Looks like Gorman and Cross Plains are next in the line of this destructive outflow boundary right here. Definitely need to make sure you're inside for this, as things definitely hit you if you are in that. So definitely be very cautious with the outflow boundaries tonight. Does look like we've started to whittle away that little supercellular structure we did have there, but we are starting to see that backwards C shape come to fruition here as this squall line is moving to the east of the Breckenridge area right now towards Mineral Wells. This will really have it together once it gets to the Mineral Wells area, especially looking at this radar signature right now. So I would be definitely thinking about getting into an interior room if you are in the Mineral Wells area, as these 100 mile an hour winds, or up to 100 mile an hour wind gusts, start to make their way over to your area there, probably within not more than the next 30 minutes. This squall line will be coming to your doorstep if you're in the Mineral Wells area. Grafford also going to be getting in on this. As long as things hold together, I can't see why they wouldn't. Also, looking at the Strawn area, Metcalf Gap, Gordon is also going to be involved with the apex of this line right now, as it's going to be pushing through shortly here. Probably a little bit under an hour out of Fort Worth right now. So definitely starting to get into some populated areas here shortly. So we're going to have to keep on this one and make sure that we don't get any of these dog legs when this approaches the DFW Metroplex there, because that would be a very bad situation occurring there if that were to happen and we got a quick spin up in the middle of the city there. So we definitely have to watch this closely. And as you can see here, we're starting to get this bow occurring. We're starting to get right up along the outflow boundary now. And once that happens, things are going to go downhill pretty quickly here, especially if you're in that Mineral Wells area, Dallas-Fort Worth area, and especially south of the Dallas-Fort Worth area is where the highest impact weather is expected to be from the significant line of severe thunderstorms. And I believe they rank it as destructive as well. Yes, destructive storm is coming for you if you are living in the Mineral Wells area right now. And this is looking like it is just going to keep on going all the way across to the Arklatex. That is for sure. And again, this storm up here near Seymour does look interesting right now. It does look like it is starting to get those supercellular structures. But I would assume that this is going to slowly weaken off. You can even see the top starting to decrease right now. So these storms up here back behind the main line, I would not worry about too much, just given that they're starting to get into the overturning from these So we're going to continue to watch squall line as it makes it across and into the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area right now. We are seeing that cyclonic rotation occurring up here on the northern end of the line. That's the one half of the rear inflow jet that we need. Now we just need some anticyclonic flow developing on the backside here, and that'll be everything we need to really get this event going. Mineral water, a severe thunderstorm warning now. I know you guys over there only kind of quiver when there's tornado warnings, but this one is definitely going to be pretty intense as it comes through. Even though warning is for 65-mile-an-hour winds, would not be surprised to see that increased and reissued here as we go forward, given the radar signatures we're currently seeing. Now moving at 297 degrees at 33 knots. 297, 33 knots. There we go. Beautiful. Now we're all set back up here. I'm actually pretty surprised that they decreased the winds on this one, on this new warning that they just issued for this cell, given the radar signatures we're starting to see. So I'm thinking if we haven't gotten an upgrade to the winds there yet, it's going to happen in the next warning that comes across here. And again, as expected, these thunderstorms on the northern mode are starting to weaken right now, which will likely push an outflow boundary south here, which could help to invigorate the northern end of this line as it moves toward Dallas here, especially if there's a favorable interaction that goes on. So we definitely have to be careful of that. Looks like we did just get a 60-mile-an-hour wind gust report out of Denton, Texas with this northern mode, and also an 80-mile-an-hour wind gust, it looks like, as the storm was collapsing there up in between Denton and Gainesville, Texas. So this is going to be very interesting. We're going to have a quick look over here at current conditions, have a look at the Cape values we're working with right now across the Dallas area, see if we have any new mesoscale discussions in effect. Here we go. So currently, looking at our convective available potential energy, does look like we're kind of in an area that is lacking in that area right now. But right out in front of this southern mode here, we do have this this little notch of 4,000 joules per kilogram of convective available potential energy, which is quite high, especially now that the sun has started to go down here. Looking over at shear right now, we got plenty of shear in place for storm maintenance, especially as storms move off to the east-southeast here. The brisk 50-knot pace, that is pretty fast. And then as we go over to our low-level jet now, you can clearly see that's starting to kick up from the south here. And once this reaches up into the southern mode, we're really going to start to see it start, the winds start to increase within that southern mode of the line there. And we'll likely see a jet kick up from behind, like a rear inflow jet, but that would likely not show up on here because that's a pretty mesoscale feature. But we're going to continue looking at this radar here until the storms move through the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We do have a new tornado warning that has currently been issued, not observed at the time being. But we do have a tornado warning that just got put into effect here for the Bonham, Ravenna, and Honey Grove area of Texas. This is the same couplet we were noticing up by the Kemp, Oklahoma area here. And also another couplet moving through the Whitewright and Howe area in North Texas here, northeastern Texas. Looks like it's going to just miss Paris to the south, and Sulphur Springs, Greenville, looks like it may just pass just to the north of you there, since these are moving a little bit more east than south right now. Not sure why the radar is not loading for us here. That's interesting. But yes, we do have another couple of wind reports right now with this event. 55 miles an hour coming out of the Antlers Atoka area in southeastern Oklahoma there. And another couple 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts being reported just north of Denton, Texas here near the Sherman area. And the rest of these, I believe we've already mentioned. I think DFW's MIA right now in terms of the radar. Not sure exactly why that is. Oh, it's because the computer's not responding. That makes sense. There we go. And then it does look like we also have a new severe thunderstorm warning forming off the outflow boundaries here of the previous storms that were out by the canyon region of Texas here between Amarillo and Lubbock. There we go. Now we have our radar back. But these storms are unzipping down a line that's particularly severe, is heading toward the Florida area. And this area of thunderstorms has been unzipping along an outflow boundary that was present from previous convection that did develop today. And this area near Haskell probably going to get put under a flash flood warning pretty soon here between Haskell and Aspermont. Likely going to be seeing flash flood warnings in place. Also down here along the Abilene area, lots of training convection in place. One flash flood warning over here by Texas. However you sat there. And it does look like we're starting to get another dogleg wrapping in here along this cyclonic flow. Does look like a pretty broad mesocyclone just to the west of Brad, Texas right now. It does look like this area of rotation is moving off to the due east right now. A little bit less of a southeast component at this time. But Brad, you may be moving through shortly, and then you're going to get the line, which is going to bring through those near hurricane force winds in the next couple of minutes here. May even see a brief quick spin up tornado, again, heading toward the Brad area right now. And then if it does maintain itself and its rotation, Palo Pinto is also going to be involved in this. But right now, it does look like this is some broad rotation, so likely not a tornado at this point, but definitely something to watch, as this is a very supercellular look to this. Just a little too vertical, but beggars can't be choosers when it comes to that. So again, Brad, definitely need to have a look out there for a potential weak spin up along this line. But again, these are usually very quick tornadoes that happen in front of these powerful squall lines here, but definitely still something to keep an eye on as we go through the next couple of radar scans there near Brad, Texas. And then looking back up here, does look like we have some flood reports coming out of southeastern Oklahoma right now. Looking like a couple of washouts happening, water over roadway. The good news is nobody's drowning. So people are turning around and not drowning. So that is always amazing news, to not hear of any high water rescues going on. Doesn't look like this is strengthening all that much, which is great for Brad right now. And that looks like an 1.75 inch hail of thunderstorms. Golf ball size hail for Woodson, Texas, around 9:15 p.m. there. And it does look like, oh, we already got that one, that 65-mile-an-hour gust there. Also, down by the Tahoka area, severe thunderstorm warning currently in effect now. Again, these are back in the overturning. So these are likely not to go PDS like a lot of the line is expected to be here with those 100-mile-an-hour wind gusts. But this is 9 miles southeast of Brownfield, Texas right now. Marginally severe with 1-inch diameter hail at this point expected. Does look like those hail cores are starting to grow right now. So we will have to look out for the potential of significant hail here heading toward the Tahoka area at this point. But again, tornado threat with these isolated cells behind here is pretty low at this time, just given how elevated the instability is across these areas here. See if this wants to play at all. Looks like we're going through another, there we go. And then let's see the evolution of that northern part there. It does look like we still have that cyclonic rotation up on the northern end of the line. Not quite seeing anything anticyclonic down on the southern end yet. We're going to have to closely be watching that to see if these storms are really able to maximize their potential here. Or if not, that would be amazing too. Let's have a look at this cell down by the Abilene area here. Doesn't look like too much in the way of rotation. There may be a brief, there is a small little mezzo that is looking like it's trying to form there just to the west of Ty right now, but certainly nothing that is overly concerning at this point. But if it did end up strengthening here, would head right into the Abilene area. So this is another one we're going to have to watch closely here to see if this broad area of rotation here near the Ty area is able to get together. Hopefully not, as it is heading into a pretty populated area there in the Abilene area. Again, 2-inch diameter hail, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Per the National Weather Service's warning here for the Abilene area with that cell. No tornado possible tag on it as of yet, which is always good news, but definitely something we'll have to closely watch here. Let's have a look at this Brad cell again. Does look like a lot of that rotation has kind of mellowed out here. Although we are going to have to closely watch what this inflow does, see if it does wrap into this area of red, these winds going away from the radar here. That could lead to a brief spin up, especially given the radar signature in that area, but we're still a long way away from that happening, at least like 15 minutes or so. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that. But again, nothing overly concerning right now in terms of tornadoes on radar at this point. But just a few areas that we're going to have to watch here over the next couple of radar scans, but nothing overly impressive, except for wind-wise, of course, as we are now seeing 50 knots or so is the max velocity return right now on radar. So nothing overly impressive right now, but we're just kind of waiting for this cell to get its act together right now. This squall, it is starting to look like we are getting a reinvigoration of deeper cores up on the northern end there. So that will have to closely be watched as well, as that appendage is going to be heading toward the mineral wells area. We are going to have to closely watch that here. And we are going to also have to closely watch this broad area of rotation here, just to the north of Metcalf Gap right now. And that would be also making a close pass of mineral wells too. So we'll have to watch that for tornado potential here over the next couple of scans. This one down by Abilene looks like that rotation has died out as well and is starting to turn linear. But looking at these winds aloft back over here, certainly possible that we could see some pretty significant wind gusts, especially into the Abilene area and into, say, Impact, just north of Abilene, as well as the cell starts to bow out as it drops to the south and east here toward Abilene and then points south and east. Let's see what else we're looking at. This is interesting. Oh, that's the same thing we were looking at before near Brad. Okay, cool. And then it does look like we're starting to get a little bit closer to the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex here with these severe gusts. We're now at 65 miles an hour for wind gusts now approaching the Metroplex now. This is Louisville, Texas right now, making its way slowly to the south towards University Park and Dallas at this point. Definitely we'll have to closely watch this. Doesn't look like too much, again, in the way of a tornado potential here for the Dallas area, at least until that back end, that southern end, pushes through. So we're going to have to closely watch that. But we'll likely see 2 rounds here in Dallas. We'll have this northern round, and then we'll start to see the southern round kind of get kicked up and into the Dallas area, likely hitting the south side. This one, the first round is going to hit the northern side here pretty well. And it does look like severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for Dallas for this northern line of convection. That's likely due to the fact that outflow boundary is pushing through. Doesn't look like the actual beef of the line is going to be coming through Dallas, but that outflow boundary, again, kind of like those areas south of Abilene, is going to pack a punch when it comes through the Dallas area here. We're seeing 65 mile an hour wind gusts, penny size hail for the severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued for the Dallas area. Fort Worth about to be under a severe thunderstorm warning here as well for the second line that's going to be coming through the southern appendage to this high end wind event here. And we're likely going to see these strengthen over the next couple hours, amazingly. And let's see how we're doing over here by the Brad area, the appendage we were talking about before. Looks like a lot of that inflow is starting to wane here, which is always a good thing. So it looks like we're predominantly becoming linear at this point, with a couple of spin-ups being possible, of course, especially with the this cyclonic line. Southern end, like it's weakening, which is a little bit interesting, but that'll help the outlook get going there. So hopefully if you're game of chasing, we start seeing some convection develop out in front of it, and that will renew this complex of storms, as it looks like it is starting to weaken here. But we are starting to get renewed convection out in front of the outflow boundary there, which will help these storms likely reinvigorate here as we head off to the east toward the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Again, hopefully nothing too bad goes through there this afternoon. That is how it's going to happen. We're going to start getting convection right along that outflow boundary like we were discussing before there. And what's really interesting right now is this subtle feature right here. You see this little line going across? It's kind of right over Mineral Wells here. If this can kind of stall out right about where it is or a little bit south, that would be a pretty big problem because that is an outflow boundary, and you can get locally backed winds along that outflow boundary, which would increase the curvature within the photographs in this area here. And that would locally increase the tornado threat for any part of the line segment that could travel along that boundary there. So that is also going to be something we're going to have to watch out for, especially along this triple point. Really seeing this pseudo low come together here. This would be where that pseudo low exists, just to the west of Mineral Wells right now. This would be kind of like your cold front here, but it's an outflow boundary, of course. And then this would be your warm front right here. That would have the most potential of rotation, either right here along this boundary, the outflow boundary, which is the pseudo warm front, and then the triple point right here, where both of these boundaries meet at the area of the low pressure here, pseudo low, just to the west of Mineral Wells. So that'll definitely be something we need to watch. Always fun to do some radar meteorology here. Always exciting to see these kind of subtle features and kind of forecast them out as we go. And then it also looks like we have some sort of like gravity wave feature out behind this outflow boundary as well. Kind of this speckled look to the wind field here, which is a little bit interesting as well. Let's go on up here to the tornado warning. Oh, I guess we have some pretty bad radar coverage up here. But there is broad rotation within this tornado warning as well. Does look like maybe one or two areas of rotation that are here. One heading toward the Honey Grove area right now. And then another one, which seems to have just recently weakened in the last scan there, that is just about to impact the Ladonia area. On radar, not looking overly impressive right now, that's for sure. So that'll likely be allowed to expire here. Also going to be watching potential rotation here along the area near Celeste, Texas as well, which looks like it's heading due southeast here. Always these little indents in the line are the areas you want to look at for potential tornadic activity within these line segments here. This will be heading southeast right toward the Nylandville area in Campbell if it does hold itself together here. Does look like there was a pretty nice but broad couplet on there for a little bit, which has since weakened, but it is definitely something we're going to have to watch here over the next little bit. Not seeing many other areas of interest at this time for those areas. Let's go back on over to our line over here. And we are starting to get that convection develop out in front of the outflow boundary here. It's looking like boom, boom, boom. And then boom, you're starting to get that convection develop out in front of that outflow boundary now. So hopefully, or hopefully not, depending on who you are, this stays along the outflow boundary. If you're a resident of the Dallas-Fort Worth area and you're not a storm chaser, you're hoping that this convection just kind of wanes like it has been the past couple scans, and you'll be all good. But knowing the environment we're in, that is highly unlikely at this time. Again, squall line now impacting, very small squall line is impacting the Abilene area. Abilene's right at the apex right now. So likely seeing some pretty significant winds at this time, up near that 60 mile an hour range heading through the Abilene area right now. And then we also have this other cell near Bard heading towards Putnam right now, Putnam, Texas, in between there and Cross Plains. But both of these not looking overly impressive at this time, except for this backwards C shape with rear inflow jet heading into Abilene right now. But other than that, nothing overly impressive on those storms at this point. But we're going to wait and see what happens to these severe warnings as they pass the Mineral Wells area here. See if we start getting destructive warnings in place for the areas just to the east or west of Dallas-Fort Worth here. If we do get a reinvigoration of the squall line here, we will make sure to continue to stay live. But if it looks like we're not getting that reinvigoration, great news. We have a bust, and that is amazing news. So we're going to hold with it until we get confirmation of either end of the sea there. But it is starting to look like we're losing that cyclonic rotation here on the northern appendage now that that outflow boundary has crossed it, which is good news. That outflow boundary may really help out the Dallas-Fort Worth area this evening here. I'll probably save them from those 100+ mile an hour wind gusts if this actually comes to fruition here. And they'll just get these marginally severe 60 mile an hour gusts going through, minimal hail. That would be amazing news if this actually ends up happening like it looks like it's going to here. But you can see this outflow boundary is just ripping the northern suburbs of Dallas right now. And pretty soon here, probably in the next 2 or 3 scans, we're going to start seeing these 60 to 65 mile an hour winds drop into downtown Dallas out southern end, which would be amazing news here for the residents of Dallas, just to have those marginally severe gusts here. But it looks like that is what is going to happen, which would be incredible. And it does look like this northern end of the line here is giving us some pretty good gusts. Looks like we got an 80 mile an hour wind gust here as trees are down in Dodge City, Texas. I believe that's Texas. Yep, that's Texas. Dodge City, Texas here. Also another one showing emergency management reporting thunderstorm, wind damage, and debris along US 82, Highway 78, and 121 here up by Bonham, Texas. We'll have to have a look here because this is within that tornado warning, right where that appendage was tracking. So that actually very likely could be tornado damage that was reported, because if we scroll on down here, we'll mark exactly where this storm report is here. We'll place the marker down. If we go back, there's a pretty strong couplet that went right over that location. That debris was reported over the road here near Bonham, Texas. So we could have seen a tornado drop down there. That could be why we are seeing debris across the road near Bonham, Texas here. So very interesting. We're going to have to monitor that situation here. And then that 80-mile-an-hour wind gust that we saw, likely powerful inflow winds, or potentially the ghost train of the tornado. I don't think it was strong enough to really have too strong of a ghost train, but probably strong inflow winds were likely the cause of that 80-mile-an-hour gust that was reported there. And I would not be surprised if this debris across the road was due to a tornado crossing there. So very interesting, because it is much higher of a gust than anywhere else in the line. So that is likely what we're looking at there. And here we go. Outflow boundary is now continuing to. Let's try to get a wind gust out of this here. Yeah, we're probably looking at like 60, 65 miles an hour there. Nothing you can't handle in the Dallas area, which is amazing. Very good news there. And then even better news is it does look like the outflow boundary is negatively impacting these storms that are just to the west of Mineral Wells. It is rapidly weakening them at this time, as that more stable air starts to push in and affect at least the northern end of this convective line here. So that's good news. It may be the last severe thunderstorm warning that's issued for this line of storms, because it is collapsing quite rapidly here, actually. Really starting to lose those red and pink cores now. Now just starting to turn into a normal thunder shower. These down by Abilene. Abilene has just been impacted by that squall line that just moved through there. Also starting to get a little bit of a supercellular signature on this cell just to the south of Bard, Texas right now. Starting to get that little appendage. We'll drop over to the Abilene radar here soon and give a closer look at that. And then here's that severe thunderstorm warning for the outflow boundary that's about to move through Dallas right now at those 65-mile-an-hour winds. So at this time, we'll make our way on over to that Abilene radar now and give a look at this Bard storm, which from afar looks a little bit interesting at this time. So we'll have a quick look over there and see if we have anything that of interest there. And as expected, before we start looking at that, we do now have some pretty widespread flash flood warnings in place here for the Haskell area, as we mentioned before. Anson, Robbie, and Benjamin there, all under flash flood warnings at this time due to these training thunderstorms. Let's see here. Yeah, that doesn't look nearly as exciting from the Abilene radar. So this is just a normal severe storm right there. This could be a little bit interesting. Just south of that Abilene area right here, there is a little bit of an appendage with some inflow looking to come through, but that definitely does not look like it's going to go tornadic anytime soon here, as this is likely a difluent couplet starting to develop, showing that we're getting some collapsing thunderstorms going on, which could lead to some significant wind risk as they're collapsing, but nothing more than that, because the radar is way up here. This is going towards the radar. This is going away from the radar. The look of the storm just kind of dropping its cloud tops right on the ground there. So we'll likely see some pretty strong outflow wind gusts from this signature here, especially near the Potosi area and points east. But it is starting to look like this storm is almost at the end of its life cycle as well here. That's starting to get affected by outflow and more stable air. And then this squall line here, be interested to see if they issue another one here, given what we're looking at on radar with kind of the collapse of these cells occurring as that outflow boundary. I'm going to go back over to the Fort Worth radar and see if that gives us a better look at some better insight as to what's going on here. See if we have, okay, just more water over the roadway. Good. Okay, always good news. No high water rescues yet. We do like to see that. Yeah, and the Dallas radar is showing this even less incredible than the Abilene radar was, and even the Abilene radar wasn't showing too much in the way of excitement with this mineral well squall line, which did look pretty intriguing before, but that outflow boundary really chopped its head off there, so to speak. And it does look like that outflow boundary has now made it into the belt loop of Dallas now. And we're even starting to see that weaken a little bit. We might just get winds around 60 miles an hour rolling through Dallas at this point, so that's always good news. Yeah, this is really interesting. This outflow boundary from this northern convection is really killing everything right now. And this northern convection, it is starting to get that cyclonic flow up on the northern side there, and you are starting to get that backward sea starting to form. So this could definitely be the one. The good news is it is going to be missing Dallas at this point, it looks like, as that outflow boundary is pushing through the area there. That will be the end of any significant wind risk, and it's not at the apex of the bow either, which is always great news as well here. But the main concern moving forward is going to be Greenville and Sulphur Springs, as this is right where the apex of the bow is right now and moving towards. And we do have that 70-mile-an-hour wind risk right at the apex of this bow right here. This 80-mile-an-hour wind report was likely in association with a weak tornado that developed here across this Bonham area, Dodge City area, within the line here, along this cyclonic flow out in front of the line here. So this is going to be interesting to watch. It's now rolling through Greenville, Texas, making its way to Sulphur Springs. We'll see what kind of wind reports we get out of this line as it moves off to the south and east right here. But again, it does look like the tornado threat is going to be pretty small, given what we're looking at right here. Also kind of a weird little inflow tail developing out in front of this thing with these stationary storms out by Mount Pleasant getting sucked into this cyclonic flow here aloft. So that'll be interesting to watch as well. It looks like we are very well correlated with the front edge of convection and the outflow boundary here, as both are hitting Greenville at about the same time here. And even more flash flood warnings are being issued right now for the northern suburbs of Dallas, including McKinney, Allen, Denton, and what's this town? Louisville. Flash flood warnings now going into effect in the Dallas metro there. Hoping we do not see anything in the way of high water rescues across the Dallas area here with this strong outflow boundary that's now pushing through the region. Going to be interesting to watch here. And again, severe thunderstorm warning has been reissued for this southern squall line here, which is quite interesting, but it is borderline severe at this point for 65-mile-an-hour wind gusts and quarter-sized hail. So again, borderline severe here. Definitely looking at this northern end now as we got pretty well squashed on that southern mode there as that outflow boundary kind of squashed it. But yeah, we're closely watching this here. Starting to see this back end kind of bend off to the north here. That could be some anticyclonic flow starting to back in here. And that would be your rear inflow jet really starting to kick in here, which you can really see kind of that rotation on both ends of that squall line there, with cyclonic on the north end, anticyclonic on the south end, and that's what's causing the time bow to develop here. We'll likely see increased winds on this next warning that's issued south of Sulphur Springs and Greenville here. Would not be surprised to see a tornado warning, destructive severe thunderstorm warning issued now that we're starting to get these features back on this northern squall line here. That's going to be passing north of Dallas here, northeast of Dallas toward Greenville. Well, already impacting Greenville right now, and then into the Sulphur Springs area of Texas. Looking at this apex here, looks like Sulphur Springs, Como, Lone Oak, Yantis, Emory, Alba, Quitman, and Winsboro. Is that Winsboro? Winsboro are all under the gun for the strongest winds from this impactful squall line that's going to be moving through here. The good news is we're not getting the widespread 80, 90, 100-mile-an-hour wind gusts that were previously expected here. Thanks to all these outflow boundaries that kind of made it hard for these storms to really get going today as a cohesive unit. So that is always great news to say that we got a bust on a moderate risk day. So that's always good. We did have a couple 90-mile-an-hour gusts up here, home in Texas, just south of Childress there. But the great news is it was just a couple of reports that were that high. They weren't as widespread as they were expected to be this morning. So that is amazing news here. And then it does look like that outflow boundary is now into downtown Dallas at this time. Does look like a flash flood threat is going to be increasing here as we're starting to get these stationary cells on the backside on the southern side, of this bow echo that is moving to the north and east of Dallas right now. Likely due to that anticyclonic flow kind of helping to back build the southern end here. So that is going to be a problem, especially if this stalls out right over the city here or over in the Rockwall area. I know there's a lot of water over there already, so we're going to have to have a lookout for that potential for more flash flood warnings to be issued now. Those are kind of our main concerns now, looking at our imagery right now. High winds don't seem to be coming to fruition as expected, as we stated a little bit earlier there, is now we're starting to get weakening of even the cells here as that outflow boundary is starting to outrun parts of the line here. by Dallas. It's likely just going to be this northern section here that ramps up. If anything is going to ramp up at this point. But looks like we're going to be ending the day here on a pretty good note. Minus the flash flooding and the 90 mile by the canyon region of Texas here between Amarillo and Lubbock, and also the storm of the day up here up in the north. I believe it was 4 or 5 tornadoes today. But other than those, and that was over in a desolate area, which is always a good thing. But other than those isolated reports so far today, has been pretty slow, a lot slower than you would expect on a moderate risk day, that's for sure. So very good news here. But as long as this radar trend continues, we're probably going to bop on out here for this live stream. If we start continuing to see weakening along the apex of this line here over the next couple of seconds, and then this, I guess you'd call it squall line, is really starting to fall apart as well. We're down to what's this expected to hail? 3/4 of an inch. And then winds with this are not overly impressive either at this point. Now that outflow boundary you can see right here is really starting to squash any potential with that as well. And it's about to start to kill off any of these storms down to the south of Abilene too. And then these storms dropping 65 mile an hour wind gusts by Tahoka here that have gone severe. Not expecting too much in the way of tornado potential with them either at this point, just due to the elevated instability out that way instead of surface based. But we'll have a look for the next couple of scans here, but I am not anticipating any reinvigoration with this line, which is amazing news, y'all. Very good news. Just what we wanted to see. Just 1 second here. So, particularly dangerous situation, severe thunderstorm watch looks to be kind of a bust, at least even be a bust for the Arklatex region too, which is always great news. Yeah, it's going down to 70 mile an hour wind gusts here. And the last significant wind gust we got was likely tornado, or that northern cyclonic circulation that we were seeing there is also starting to weaken as we're starting to get those higher returns fading away from the radar here. So likely this outflow boundary saved the day as these storm motions are too slow to keep up with it here, as you can start seeing this expansion of stratiform rain developing right out in front of the line. Normally you'd want to see a pretty sharp edge here with this convective line, but seeing this is a good thing if you're looking for an intense line of supercell storms or a derecho type of an event. You always want to see a nice crisp edge on that, and it does not look like we're getting that. It is going to be the end of the live stream here as things are continuing to weak scans here. So I think we are done for the night, y'all. Have a great night, and glad that this did not hit it too. So a lot more people were able to stay safe, which is amazing news. So we've done our job for the day here. If you guys have any questions, let us know before we hop on out here. Thank you so much as well, Lavonda Hill. That's amazing. You've been following us for quite a while there, all our photos and everything. But thank you all so much for joining in for the live today. We also some exciting news before we head on out. We are looking at moving down to the Dallas, Texas area. We got an interview with Perryweather down there. So we are looking into getting a job with Perryweather down in Dallas, Texas here coming up in the next month or so. We'll keep you guys updated on that. And we are also going to continue trying to do these live streams whenever significant severe weather is looking to impact these populated areas. And going into hurricane season here, we'll also be active for hurricane season as well. Have a great night, everyone, and hope you all stayed safe.